let's go ahead and solve this system of equations we got from number 13 to finish it off. If you're pretty confident with the algebra here, you can skip this, do it on your own, whatever. First thing is that these fractions are going to be annoying. And so one way to do this is just clear the fractions at the start. One thing that's going to be annoying is that that's going to change these so that they're not the same. It's tempting to go ahead and subtract these equations from each other right now, or just equate these two things to each other. Various different strategies. We're going to have to clear those fractions pretty soon anyway. So even though it might be a little bit weird to do it this way, it gets to an elimination scenario, and I want to make sure we get as much practice with that as possible. So that's one version, and then I'm going to just go ahead and clear those fractions out. Alrighty. And now I'm just going to distribute those through. That turns out to be 105. And the nice thing now is that instead of the d's coefficients being the same, the p coefficients are the same. And so we can actually just subtract these equations from each other, and we're good. So let's see. I'd like to end up with positive numbers if possible. So I'm going to flip the signs on this one. I'm going to rewrite it one more time. I'm just going to put a negative on everything in the first equation. And rewrite the second equation. And then just add them together. And that's the fundamental idea of elimination. And let's see, can I get all this? Pretty much. Okay. And I'm going to get no p's. And I'm going to get 210 equals 2d. 5d minus 3d is 2d. 105 plus 105 is 210. And d is 105. Now, of course, as soon as I wrote this down, I suppressed all the units. These were actually in kilometers per hour. Or no, so these were in hours. These guys, 7/3 and 7/5. These are kilometers per hour. D was in kilometers. And so, in fact, D is 105 kilometers. And then I can go back and solve for P. I can go back to any one of these 8 equations. They're all true facts, and they all will give me P. They'll give me the same P, or else I did something wrong. And what's the easiest one? Probably this last one. 7P equals 5D minus 105. Just moving that over. But I know D, and that turns into 525 minus 105, which is 420. So P is 60. Now the units ought to be kilometers per hour. And they are, because this stuff is actually in kilometers, like D is in kilometers. The 105 actually, if you track it down carefully, it's in kilometers. And that 7 actually came from here, that was in hours. And so, if you really track down the units carefully, it's kilometers per hour. But it's okay if you do this all without units, and then you just realize what the correct units are at the end of the problem. So it turned out that the plane speed was a lot lower, significantly lower than our guess of 100, and the distance was longer. Those numbers we put in were not supposed to be a realistic guess. It was just to jumpstart our brains in case the combination of the word problem and the letters, the variables, was a problem. Anyway, there's your final answer for that problem.